Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending the third installment of the Battle for the Books webinar series. My name is Lillian Howard. I am the Corporate Marketing Rep for MBS, and today I'm going to be your moderator, and I will also be introducing our two presenters. Now, we do have almost 100 people on the call today, so just like in the past, I'm going to ask that everyone go ahead and mute your line and keep it muted throughout the presentation so the presenters can get through the presentation without any interruption or background noise. Now, at the end of the webinar, we are going to provide their contact information, so you'll be able to follow up with any questions you have for either one of the presenters. So just as a quick overview, today we're going to hear from Cindy Swanson. She's a text manager at Andrews University. We're also going to hear from Kim Ball, Senior Manager of Course Materials at Titan Shops. Now, these are two very different schools in terms of size, even with competition that they face. So they're going to be able to give us a very broad scope on their strategies for success in building better relationships with faculty, and not only just getting the faculty adoption, but getting the faculty adoption on time and how that can help secure more books for the students and also mean more money for students at buyback. So they're going to share with us their strategies. And to go ahead and get started, as I mentioned, we have Cindy Swanson at Andrews University Bookstore. And this is a private institution. They have over 3,500 full-time students and 338 faculty. Now, they don't have any brick-and-mortar competition, but like all of us, they definitely have online competition at Cindy's store there. Now, she's been there for 5 years, and her number one hurdle when she first started as textbook manager over 5 years ago was getting on-time adoptions. So that's quite a lot to say with everything that you're facing when you first come into a store. Her number one hurdle was getting those adoptions on time. So she's going to share with us how she makes this process better. So, Cindy, are you ready? Oh, I need to unmute you. Are you there, Cindy?
I am. Hello, everyone. First of all, I guess I'll just start with telling you how I made the process better. First of all, I organized the process as far as keeping track of what you do and when. It's real important that you stay very organized. Might help if I would get the cue here, right? There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. It was a little slow in coming. All right. It's real important that we do educate our faculty because everything affects our students. Without our students, we don't even have a job, and sometimes we get busy and we forget that. We think, oh, you know, sometimes the students can really give you trouble because they're trying to find something and you can't always help them right away. They get frustrated. But number one, our job is for the students, also to work with the faculty, but our students really, they're who we are servicing. So it is important. I do go to faculty meetings. Every chance I have when I meet a faculty and talk to them a little bit about things, I try to educate them and let them know how important it is to be on time, because when we're not on time, we hurt everybody. The adoption process has to be simple. I know that all the professors are very well educated, but simplicity is the key. I don't know if I can hear everybody laughing if you're on the same page with me, because if it's simple, they'll fill it out. If it's too complicated, you'll hear them say, well, you know, I just wasn't sure how to do that. So keep it really simple. I have an online form you'll see later, and they can email it to me. They can bring it in hard copy, as well as my MBS one that it prints out. And I like to make sure that I clarify what I expect out of them. I let them know that if I need something on time, it's only because I have deadlines just like they do. I've even told my faculty that, would you accept homework from a student 2 months late? And they go, of course not. I feel the same way about that adoption. If it's 2 months late, you are way behind it, and now all I can get are new books. Students don't always want the new books. They want a cheaper alternative. So I let them know Try to show them that this, it all works for the best of all of us if we all work together. I am the only person that purchases all the university textbooks. I've also taken on a second office now. We've moved another university here. It's a distance learning school. So it's real important that I get what I need on time because I can't have everybody late or I won't meet my deadline. And then one of the most important things is to be accountable for what we do. If we make a mistake, we have to make it right, stand up and say, hey, I messed up. What I do is I overnight the books in at my cost if I've made that mistake. I think accountability is one of the most important things that we can offer, a way of, just showing them that, we all are human too. I always make up a cycle checklist so I don't overlook or let something fall through the cracks. Unfortunately, we're all way too busy. So one of the ways I do this is I color code each term. And as you can see there, I use spring because you've got new growth coming. I use for green and spring. I use yellow for summer for the sun, and fall because I think of pumpkins. And when I relay this to people, they remember those colors. And so when I see any paperwork laying around, especially syllabus, different things, and they're that color, it tells me, oh, that was from last term. I'm not even into that term yet. And it just helps to color code and follow through things. One of the main reasons is because I save emails and I put everything in a physical file. Yes, it is paperwork, but it's also very good backup. If you take that requisition that is signed by that professor and you file it, they come in and say, this is the wrong book, and you go to the shelf and it's the book on that requisition with their signature, they can't argue with you. If you say, well, I don't have the original anymore, then you really don't have anything to stand on, and you have to say, well, I'm sorry, I made the mistake. So I try to keep it for backup. It's just a good reference. Even when students come in, you can say, no, this is what they've ordered. This is what's on the shelf. So the visual of the 2 or 3 colors that I use, it's a good check just to kind of keep things, which term it's for. I do lots of things by email just because that gives you, once again, your reference. It's just good to have for backup. So I email my faculty when I send the packet out. On the top of the packet you can see here, that's the cover sheet I send out, and it's always by the color term. When I send an email out and say, the requisitions are in the mail, I put them in the intercampus mail that next day, so they get the email, then they get the requisitions. So they know what to expect, they know what's coming. And on the bottom of every one, I always change the color by term, but I always put out that reminder because teachers need to be reminded. We get new teachers in and out. You get professors that don't remember or they didn't see it. Sometimes just their assistants handle it and they don't see that cover sheet. But most of mine will post it on the bulletin board, which is really good because they see it all the time. They see when that due date is, and then they see, oh, even if we don't want them to buy books, we have to have it on the website. And then I don't accept any forms other than the forms that I provide. One is the MBS that the system prints out. The other one is the one that I've made online. I don't accept anything over the phone as far as them calling me and saying, I want the same books as last term. I don't accept that. I don't accept a change over the phone, only through email. And they can't email me what they want unless it's already been on a requisition form. Once it's been on a requisition, they want to cancel, they want to add, they want to change, no problem. But if I don't first have the requisition, I don't even consider those as books to be ordered. I don't want to make mistakes, so I want to make sure that I know what they want. I try to communicate that with them when we always talk so that nobody can say they didn't understand. Even on my website, they can click to that form, and I have a whole thing of general lists, and I tell them the dates that my requisitions are due every year. So there's, several ways that they can see those dates, even if they do forget. One of the ways that I use as a good reminder is I send out about 2 weeks before the deadline, and I use the MBS form here. Are your students doing the math? And it's a great flyer to use because it's already printed. I just put a date on it when it's due, and it's bright. They see that, they know instantly, oh, this is textbooks. So it kind of helps them too. 2 weeks before school starts, I send another email. I ask them, please come in, check the shelves, make sure the books you have ordered are on the shelves. To me, their ISBNs, author titles. To them, they teach from that book. So you want to make sure that we have provided what they want, but sometimes, as we all know, you can put in an ISBN and come up with something totally different. We try to always watch, but sometimes it does happen. So I ask for that 2-week window because at that point, we have time to fix things. The day school starts a little late. Once again, stand up for the mistakes. If there are mistakes made, I will still overnight them in at my cost because this is something that I've done, and I don't want the students to have to suffer. Something that I have started since probably about 4 years ago I started this. If I purchase books, say you are a professor and you send in your requisition and I order the books and they're on the shelf and school starts and you decide you don't want that book. Now, if I hear the kids tell me, professor says we're not using the book, I call that professor. I want to know, why did you spend my time, waste the money for a book you're not going to use? If that's the case, I will box the books up, get the weight and the shipping cost. I times that by 2 because that's what it would be to bring it in, send it out, because we all know they all come on pallets. Then I take that amount with any restocking fees from the publisher, and then I add at least a $20 fee for the bookstore, and that amount gets charged to that department. They know that up front. I send out about once a year reminding them of that I will charge that department. I call, I get the IDC number, and then I run the charge through, charging them, trying to make them accountable. I stand up for my mistakes, and so I expect the same out of them. Educating the faculty. We all know that that is a very big chore because they are very educated, but sometimes the very little things get overlooked, and we are all very busy. Something that I've started 3 years ago is a faculty appreciation event. I do it in the spring, usually in the first part of March before any midterms and so on. I let it run from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. Our campus doesn't really have a set lunchtime for the students anyway, and so try to make it so that they're able to come in at some point. It's getting bigger and bigger every year because of the fact that people come and they enjoy it and then they tell other people, and that's one of the best ways to get people to come. Even though I send out this flyer, MBS provides it, they print everything for us, which is very, very nice. All you have to do is furnish the dates. They put everything else in there. And I send enough out so that each faculty can have one, put it on their desk. And then again, I'll send a reminder. I usually send these out a month in advance. But when I communicate with them, reminding them, requisitions are due in a day, so on and so forth, I remind them, don't forget, Faculty Appreciation Day is coming up in March. I always throw that in there so it's always something they think about. And I do try to accommodate them as much as possible. The second year I found out that I had on an event, there was something else, a board meeting on campus, and a lot of the faculty and deans couldn't come. And so I arranged it different this year, and I had a lot better turnout because I tried to accommodate them. And we have to let them feel that it is all about them. Face-to-face, it's wonderful because we do a lot with email and phone, and unfortunately a lot of times when they come in, you have to think a minute to try to put a name with that face. And it's nice to see them, talk with them, other than always when they come in and say, oh, I've got a requisition. We have a little more to talk about here, and this is kind of nice. It's a little more relaxed. One of the biggest things that gets them is food. I do prepare all the food. I do all the cooking myself. This is the first year I bought the dessert. There's too much going on, but and they like that because it's not something that you can just go pick up and bring it in and cater it. It's homemade food. And as you can see from the pictures, there's quite a bit of it. That always seems to bring them. Door prizes are another reason they all come. Basically, everybody that comes gets a door prize. But what we have them do is we have them fill out a little slip. They're all in multicolors, and they put them in this big tub that we have. And then we pull them out all the time, and they get door prizes. But what the reasoning is one way is at the end we pull one grand prize, and they get $50 at the bookstore. So this way we don't have to go through and off our sign-on sheet and fill all their names out. It's already done for us. As you can see in the lower picture, we ask them to sign in, and that way we kind of know for the people that RSVP, and I do require RSVP as well. So it's a little bit of having an idea who comes, who RSVP'd, maybe didn't show up. And if somebody RSVP'd and didn't show up, I try to send them an email and say, hey, we missed you. Maybe next year. Try to let them know that their presence was felt missing, so they think that otherwise they're like, well, I didn't make it, no big deal. This way they know that we noticed they didn't make it. And wonderful thing is MBS is always donating good things for the store prizes as well. And anytime we can showcase MBS, it's wonderful because we're familiar with MBS, and they hear us talk about it, but they're not as familiar as maybe we would like them to be. And so it's good. I usually have one, maybe two reps there, and they can mingle and talk with professors because it is hard to hit everybody when there's just one of you. But it's a good way of letting them know what MBS does, how important it is to get the adoptions on time so we can build that buyback list. If we don't know what they're going to use, our buyback list is small. So we need to know ahead of time. And sometimes they don't even realize that. They're like, oh, I didn't realize that it made any difference. Also, we get more used books if it's on time. A lot of these things I'm telling you, of course, if you're doing the same thing I am, you understand it, and I'm probably singing to the choir, but this is what I have found is working for me. The online buyback is always an option. When the student comes in and they just missed the buyback and they're like, oh, no, what do I do? And I'm like, well, you can go to online. It's the same company. When you tell them it's the same company, it's like reassurance. They're like, oh, okay, no problem. But if they think they're just doing it to somebody else, then they're like, well, I don't know. So they like to hear that, oh, it's the same company. So a little bit more reinforcement for MBS. There's little business cards that MBS has for online buyback and so on. And they're wonderful to spread around the store, put at the cashiers, so the students see all these things. One Planet. We've kind of done very well with One Planet here. It's a wonderful way of getting money for your charity. We've actually contacted the businesses downtown. I have the dorms will bring over suitcases of books that students have left and abandoned. So we do get quite a bit of it. The community's been a big support. So it is nice. I have the big box set right up front by the cashiers, right next to where they do buyback. They come in, and they've missed buyback or something that's buyback, they can't sell it, there's an option there for them. This is the online form that I have out. Very simple. Got everything we need on there. And I find they fill it out fairly well. I like to keep things very simple, and it copies very well. They email this to me. And something I do when they email me a textbook requisition, I print that email and attach it with that requisition. So if there's a problem, I don't have to go back through my email file to find that, because I do have spring, summer, and fall email files that I do keep them all in. But this way I can just pull it out of the drawer and say, well, here's the email. You sent it to me on this date. And that's one other thing. On the upper right-hand corner, I have a date stamp, and I stamp it right on there the day that it's turned in. Even if I'm out of the office for that day, I'll do it for that day. That way I know when that came in, so they can't say, oh, I took it over several months ago or whatever. When that comes in, anybody that helps me in my office, they know, has to have that date stamp because I want to know when it came in. And this kind of just tells you a little bit, kind of went over what I already said. But the first one to turn in the requisition, they get a free T-shirt of their choice, up to $50, and they will fight for this position. It's kind of interesting. There's always about 3 departments that are fighting to get that position. So it's kind of nice, and then when I send out the email, I congratulate the person who was first. And so then it kind of gets a little competition with the departments, and they'll say, oh, I saw so-and-so got it. Maybe I'll get it next year. So it's a little fun. Reward the ones that can get there on time, which is kind of nice. Once again, I require everything on paper. Don't take anything over the phone. I won't let 2 classes, say we have a cross-listed class, ED, PC, and LEAD, same books, cross-listed. I won't accept a form that way. They have to have the EDPC by itself, the LEAD by itself, because I do file these hard copy. And if a student comes in looking for the lead course and I don't have it because I filed it in the EDPC course, then I'm like, well, I'm sorry, nothing was turned in. So because I file them literally, I have to have them separate. And it's amazing by doing this what it's helped, because sometimes they're cross-listed, but one section or one class uses one other book or one different book. And you would have brought them all in for both classes because that's what's on the requisition. Sometimes they don't make that clear. So one form, one class. One of the real struggles right now is cancellation. They'll cancel a course and they don't think bookstore. So try to get the awareness out that they think of the bookstore when they're canceling the classes, even at the top level. Academic records, they cancel that class, they need to think bookstore, not just the department and the teacher and so on. Because maybe you haven't ordered those books yet, and you can save yourself time and shipping costs and so on. So it's real important. I also require the teachers, if they're going to be late, to please email me, give me a call, I'll accept a call, and tell me why. Communication is the number one thing. I want to know why is it late. If they're considering a different book and there's going to be a time when, they can do it, they can't do it yet, that's fine. But if the entire campus was late, I couldn't do my job and I couldn't do it well. Then what I do is I take the responses and I have a little tablet that sits with the requisitions, and that way I know when I come to this and I didn't get it, I know why. And then I'll say, okay, 2 weeks work for you. Depends on different circumstances. I had a professor this last semester, actually getting ready for this semester, and she emailed me, and she was in Chicago. Her father-in-law was having brain surgery, and the due date was 2 days from then. I said, you know what? When everything settles down, you get back with me. And it was about 3 weeks. But you know what? You work with things like that. That's not an issue. But if everybody was late, it would become an issue. Once again, just to reiterate, have them come and check those shelves, because you can fix things that maybe are mistakes if you have the time. And once again, here I have where I do make each department accountable. If you're not going to use the book and I've brought it in, that's when I say, okay, this is fine, but now you're going to have to step up and pay the cost that we incurred for that. Something else that's not on the PowerPoint is I don't sell the syllabus in the store anymore. I just sell a perforated sheet of paper. Once again, it's termed color-coded. And this is a way of making the teachers accountable. Student comes and says, the syllabus, they're not in the bookstore, and the professor says, oh, yeah, they're there. Maybe they're not. This way, that student purchased that sheet at the cash register. It's torn apart. Their name is put on, they have to put their name on both pieces. There's a receipt stapled to both of them. One goes to the professor to get their syllabus. The other one remains with me, so I know how much to pay the department. When they hand that to the professor, and if the professor doesn't have his syllabus, the student knows right then. And this way, then, the professor knows, too, who got their syllabus and who didn't. They can't tell him they bought it at the bookstore, but they misplaced it, because he's the one handing it out, he or she. Another way of being accountable for our mistakes, like I've told you throughout, is that I will overnight it on my cost. Something that I've started just recently, well, it's about a year and a half now, is a sold-out prepaid reorder form. The book gets sold out. We all know we have to under-order because we don't know who's coming in with Amazon and all the other places to purchase books. We sell out. I have a little tag the same color as the sheet, and it says, sold out, see textbook manager. I have 2 areas set up in the bookstore. They're called reorder stations. I have a copier there. I have that form. And what happens is I have people that work in the store that help. We have a student take the shelf tag, pull the shelf tag. We run a copy of that shelf tag. We fold it in half, staple it behind this form. That way, when I'm placing the order, if somebody filled the form out wrong, I know which book the student wants. We only let the student fill out this part, the student information. We fill out the rest. I only use the last 4 digits of the ISBN, and then we put the price in. They take it up to the cash register. They pay for it. Throughout the day, the cashiers will bring them back to me, and I start putting them in my system to create POs. Then at about 4:45 or so, I will run the POs, kind of watch and see if there's any more coming in. get everything ready to place the next morning, first thing, so you can get it ordered right away. I second day all this in. I do not charge them for the shipping. This has become excellent. You can see almost $75,000 in sales in 1 year, and it would have went to Amazon or somewhere else. The key is they want something instant. If you don't offer it to them quick and they leave your store, 9 times out of 10 they won't be back. They'll go somewhere else. But if you can say, well, we don't have it, we'll second day it, it'll take 3 to 5 days, and you will have it, then they're like, oh, okay, I can do that. And they can also use all their student money. If you go online, you have to use a credit card and so on, which plenty of them have. But this is a way of keeping that in the store. And the good thing is, when that book comes in, right on the PO, I group these together by numbers. On the PO, say you have 7 books. All 7 books would be group 1. And then I file them by number. So when they come in, you just grab the PO, you grab all group 1, put all the books with those, start making phone calls, email, however that communication is they've given us, they come in and pick them up. The thing is, they aren't going to forget their book because they've paid for it. If you go ahead and order it for them, I used to do this. I'd have the teacher call and say, oh, we need 10 more books. I'd order 10 and return, 8 of them. So this is a way of ensuring that you're keeping the money in the store. So basically, the results have been a more streamlined process. Once again, the most important thing is communication, because when you take the time to talk to people, even students, when they come in and complain about the high prices of books, and when you tell them, we can't compete with Amazon, we can't compete with some of these because we don't buy a semi-load of that title, then they start thinking, wow. And we all know the amount of money we pay on invoices a month. We know that we're paying a lot out as well. So it isn't like we're getting them for free and really charging them up. So I would say over the last 5 years, my on-time adoptions have gone up 30%. And the biggest thing right now is I'm just trying to get everybody to, when they think of cancellations, think of the bookstore. So basically, the students are our customers, and we work for all those professors. So anything that we can do to improve our relationship between, that's part of our job. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Cindy.
Welcome.
Okay. Our next presenter is Kim Ball from Titan Shops. And Titan Shops, they serve Cal State University Fullerton, which is a public institution. They have almost 35,000 full-time students there and over 1,300 faculty. Now, unlike Andrews, they do have an off-campus competitor, but like most of us, they are also facing online competition. Now, Kim has been at Titan for over 4 years. As I mentioned, she is the senior manager of course materials there, and previously, Kim was at Cal State San Bernardino for 7 years as store director and 3 years as textbook manager. Now, Kim's #1 hurdle when she first started at Titan Shops was adoptions being sent straight to the competitors. So Kim is going to tell us how she opened communication and built loyalty with the faculty. So, Kim, are you ready?
I am ready. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. As Cindy was saying, that definitely communication is key in getting departments to understand where you're coming from and why getting adoptions to you are very important. And so one thing that we do here at Titan Shops is we kind of bribe them with some money. So we have a rewards program, but within our department we have five staff within our book department, and we communicate regularly with 50 to 60 different coordinators who represent the departments and the faculty on campus. And they in turn communicate with the faculty on any questions or things that they have. But all adoptions that come to us are funneled through the department coordinators. This is important in some departments where they require that specific books be used. It allows them to ensure that those books are being used for classes and that part-time faculty aren't using material that hasn't been previously approved. So we have strong relationships with our department coordinators. I try to work a lot with department chairs as well, and we go out and do visits, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but the 3 buyers and our person in charge of course packs mostly deals with the department coordinators. Let's see here. Okay, I'm not getting the... okay. Can't get the PowerPoint to keep going. Okay.
On, Kim.
All right. I'm like, oh.
I forgot I had my phone muted.
Yeah.
Okay, you should be able to go ahead and take over now.
Okay. Hey, here we go. Okay. So as I mentioned, we kind of pay and incentivize our book department or our requisition program, and I'd be happy to share that information with anybody. And my email and stuff will be at the end of the presentation, so shoot me an email. I'll be happy to share that with you. But 2 times a year for the fall and semester terms only, we reward our departments with some money based on the percentage of adoptions that they submitted by the due date. We have a prorated schedule for different percentages, and I believe we have that on a slide a little bit later. But if they get at least 95% of their adoptions submitted by the due date, they can earn up to $1,000 per semester in rewards funds. Now, $500 of that will be accredited to a Titan Shops account in which they can use that money to purchase anything in the store. Special orders, whatever we have, they're welcome to use it on that. Then we take the rest of that, 250 of that, will be awarded to that department in the form of department scholarships. So they can design and set up their own scholarships or use it for existing scholarships to reward their students. And it's neat because it gives them some flexibility on those funds and how they use them. And then we'll do another matching $250 if they earn that first level to ASI, and they will get to award scholarships through the ASI on our campus. So it's not only benefiting the departments, it's also benefiting the student group through ASI on campus. And then we have new faculty orientation every fall on campus. We participate in that. We've done presentations, had tables. It's just our way to make sure that we get to greet all those new faculty, and what's nice is we get a list. Being on a large campus like this, there's a lot of faculty, but we do get a list ahead of time so we get an idea of who's there, and we make contacts during orientation, find out if there's any concerns, show them our product, explain our rental program. We have a pretty extensive rental program, and it's changed a lot over the last couple of years, so we go through our rental program, digital books, and stuff like that. So new faculty orientation is a great way to get them before they get any, I don't want to call them bad habits, but any inclination to send their book information elsewhere. We can at least touch base with them first. And then department meetings. Like I mentioned before, we go out and visit with all the departments on campus. We have actually a goal I'll talk about a little bit later of meeting with at least 10% of the faculty and staff on campus. And so I focus again on the department chairs, and that usually leads me to getting invited to a department meeting. And I'll usually bring along whatever buyer's in charge of that department. And it's really good to have FaceTime with them, share our programs, let them meet our buyer, and then we're able to answer any questions they may have directly, share our new programs. It's actually worked out really good. So I enjoy those department meetings. And then we also, again, as Cindy mentioned, feeding them is key. So we do a luncheon once a year. We used to do it twice a year, but with the budgets being what they are and campus cutting back on a lot of those types of activities, we felt that we should kind of mirror what the campus does. And so we've narrowed it down to one lunch a year. Not only that, they started to get repetitive of what we're going over. So the springtime we offer lunch. We invite all the department coordinators and their support staff who submit book requisitions, as well as the department chairs and the deans. And I usually try to have some visitors talk, whether it's campus IT, academic affairs, we've had our MBS rep, Kathy, come out and talk and go over the Faculty Center Network. So we usually try to have someone, not just bookstore information, but someone outside as well. And then we also do door prizes. Those are always fun, and MBS is a great supporter of that. And we hand out the certificates, and let me tell you, they're like, you think it's just a little piece of paper, but they really, they felt they should have got a certificate. You can bet we get a phone call right after the lunch and going, why didn't I get a certificate? So they like their certificates, and so it's great that they get recognized in front of their peers that they had met the goal of, or at least level 1 certificates anyway, and earn that for the department. I think it's a form of recognition for just the coordinator as well. It's not just the funds. They really like those certificates, so that's kind of neat. We have, and I know not all campuses have something like this, but we've had for about 7 or 8 years a really unique system in which the department coordinators submit their textbook requisitions through the campus portal into a database that is populated with the current class schedule. So the class schedule is something that's constantly changing on our campus. So this has become a very unique tool for us, and each department coordinator gets access to their departments, and they go in and they submit their book information this way. Now, if it's a class that does not require a book, they have the opportunity of saying that this class does not require a book, and then they can go in and make their adoptions. Now, if they have changes, they can also go in there, add any new books, make a note or a comment on there saying, hey, this book replaces the prior book I entered. So it's a really great record of ensuring that we have a way of tracking what was submitted. It's probably a little bit easier for Cindy to have multiple ways of submitting information, but on the campus this size and with multiple buyers, it's very difficult to accept those requisitions in different forms. So and this also serves as the official campus record and ensures a compliance with HEOA. So it's worked out really well for us. I know I've been on different webinars where the IT people from Fullerton have shown other schools how this works. So it's a very good tool. There's a couple of neat things on it. Not only does it collect requisitions, I've worked with them over the past year to add a report where each department could click a button and they can see their current on-time adoptions. So if they have 100 classes, it'll show there's 100 classes, 83 of them have been submitted, and 7 are set to no, and X are outstanding. So it's a great tool for them to click a button and see exactly what's going on with the department. They can also click a button and get a report of what's still outstanding because, again, the class schedule is constantly changing, and sometimes the coordinators who submit the adoptions aren't aware of classes that have been added. So it's a great tool for them to go in there whenever they want and generate that information. Now, to calculate our on-time percentage, I'm able to use those tools, which we didn't have before. We used to have to manually track that, and one of our buyers would sit there with the huge 6,000 courses or whatever it is and log each requisition into this massive spreadsheet, and we'd use that to calculate. And then again, class schedules are constantly changing, so we couldn't always update that. So this new tool is really great because I can automatically get reports. Every Monday I get a list of what's outstanding and a list of on-time percentages. So it's auto-generated by the system, so it's a great tool, and it saves us a ton of time on our end from doing a manual process. Again, they can see the on-time percentage so they know what kind of incentives they're going to receive. And I had mentioned earlier that we have to visit with 10% of our faculty and staff every year. That is a store-wide goal. So it tends to fall mostly on textbooks. So that means between the 5 of us in my department, there's usually about 275 visits throughout the campus. So a little challenging, takes lots of time, but and I see we're doing something different. Takes lots of time, but it's worth it because just getting in there and talking with the faculty and getting their feedback and explaining things to them is valuable to us so that we can make adjustments on our end to ensure that we buy them I don't want to say buy them, but we get them to be a strong supporter of the Titan shops and the different things that we offer. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. All right, we're back in business. Okay. And as Cindy also mentioned, the focus on faculty, we use the whole folder. We use them for our department visits. We take them with us when we go to new faculty orientations. We have them handy in the store whenever a faculty member comes in, but we have contact information in there for the store. We explain our HEOA compliance and what we need to do with that. We explain our different programs. We talk about rental, used books, digital books. We have a low price guarantee and price matching program. We have a guaranteed buyback program that we explain to them. We go over our requisition rewards program. So it's a great little tool for us to use, especially if there's a new department chair who's not familiar with everything. It's a good tool for us to go in and have a little visit and share the information and give them lots of options when they're trying to communicate with their faculty, because they can utilize this information as well. And kind of mentioned all that, goes over all of that. We had a big change in our programs from our rental program from serialized to the non-serialized program. And used to be that we were knocking on the doors and asking faculty to sign an agreement for 2 years to utilize the rental program. And faculty we changed to the non-serialized, which we were using wholesale programs, and it didn't require that agreement. So faculty were kind of wondering, are you still doing rentals? What's going on? You're not contacting me. So I was like, oh, hey, we made this change. I got to make sure I communicate that out to faculty. So in fact, our program went from 32 rental titles when I first started in 2008, and we have over 1,100 titles currently being used for the spring. So, okay, looks like we are, okay. As mentioned, the Faculty Center Network that Kathy, our rep, came out and talked about, this is a great tool. Again, I utilize this at our new faculty orientation, letting them know that if they come in to teach a class maybe they haven't taught before, they're not sure what's being used out there. It gives them a great history on different books that can be utilized for a class, what campuses those classes or those books are being used on. It gives them a direct link into requesting a desk copy. So it's been a great tool for new faculty. We have a link on our website for them. But it's something we include also in our handout when we go to department visits. And let's see, kind of talk through stuff before I go through my slides. As I mentioned earlier, we have the incentive program. It was created in spring of 1999, and on-time adoptions at that point were around 67%, and it kind of fluctuated throughout the years. I think our lowest point, based on the tracking that I've been able to keep, was a low point of 47% by the due date. And this fall, I'm happy to say that we were able to get 90% of our textbook adoptions in by the due date. And so what that resulted in was a lot of communicating with departments, chairs, utilizing the staff, the academic affairs staff on campus. Once you get their support and explaining why these book orders need to be submitted by a certain date and the HEOA implications if they're not, then you can get their buy-in to help you really, I don't want to say strong arm, but really get those faculty to understand and submit. We have departments that have historically not submitted book orders to us before, submitting book orders and earning rewards. So these are departments who are like flat out, I'm not giving my book information to the store, I don't want to, and literally we had phone calls from several departments as the due date approached asking, where are we at? Do I get my rewards? So it was really great to see that turnaround through the incentive program and through communicating with the departments and chairs and academic affairs, the importance of this, and hey, while you're doing this, you're also going to earn some money. That allowed us to get to that 90% submitted by the due date, which results in great buyback as well as a strong rental want list when we send that out. And when I first started here, I had heard about their textbook incentive program, and it was kind of like, really, we're going to pay them to do something they're already supposed to be doing? So I kind of, all right, okay, you guys are doing it. But you know what? In the long run, it really builds loyalty with the faculty. The savings that we get through being able to buy those books back at buyback and be able to want list them a lot sooner than we had in the past really supports the cost of running that program. I would say lately, on an average year, we spend about $80,000 in that program through the Titan Shops credit, which 40,000 of that comes back to us through sales, and then another 40,000 through scholarships. I think it's well worth it. It's great PR, and like I said, we had departments earning rewards that have never submitted adoptions to us by the due date, so it was wonderful. And I kind of already talked about that, so there's a little information. I talked about the $1,000 reward. I do, like I mentioned, I do have a whole breakdown on the program. I'm happy to email that out and share that with everyone. So this just kind of gives you another quick snapshot at the breakdown on the program. And then, like I mentioned, if you didn't get the 95% submitted by the due date, there's still an opportunity to earn rewards. And the full column means those are departments with at least 20 courses that require textbooks, 20 or more courses. We have smaller departments on campus, and so because they're smaller, they're under that 20 courses that require textbooks. We fill their rewards at a prorated amount. We just feel it's fair because if you only have 4 or 5 courses that require books, it's not the same as a department with 100 classes that require books, so we felt that we could prorate that, still let you know that you earned a certain percentage and you get certain funds, but it's not going to be at the same amount because your work and your process of collecting those was a lot different than those larger departments. So it's worked out really good. I don't think we've had any, at least since I've been here, we haven't had any coordinators or chairs or anything question or say I want it this way. I mean, they're very happy with it, so they should be, and we've paid out quite a bit. So, just kind of, I've been here for the last 4.5 years. They've been running the program since 1999, and my push has really been the communication with the department chairs and coordinators saying, hey, the due date's approaching. This last semester, I went, and 2 weeks prior to the due date, I sent every department a list of what was still outstanding, and I think that's really what kind of was the shove to get us to that 90%, is they knew right away what was outstanding. They didn't have to wait. So we've had an average on-time adoption over the last 12 terms of 76%, which is pretty good when you consider a school our size, and the fact that we're not one-on-one with faculty while dealing with the departments. And then another measure that we do is what percent of adoptions do we have by buyback, and it's averaged 87% over the last 12 terms. So that's another measuring point for us. We also measure what percent of adoptions do we have by the first day of classes as well. As I mentioned, we've paid out quite a bit of money since the program was instituted, almost $1 million between the Titan Shops rewards and the scholarships. So it's a great way to infuse that money back into campus and make sure the students and the departments are benefiting from it. One thing I noticed this year was that there was a lot of money just sitting there. We had $167,000 that were sitting in rewards funds, as well as scholarship money that was just sitting there. So I kind of made it my goal when I was doing department visits was to meet with those departments that had a lot of money sitting there to remind them that they have this money, which I've done on a regular basis with emails. But just kind of sit down and discuss with them. Because it was close to graduation time, I brought some flyers for diploma frames and different things from the store to kind of give them incentives, saying, hey, you have a lot of money. Here's some ideas on what you can spend that money on. So it's great that they're earning all this money, but it doesn't benefit anybody if it's just sitting there. So I had to make that a focal point of my visits and just kind of, again, remind them that the money is sitting there. It needs to be used. And I think it worked. I haven't looked at my updated accounts, but I know when I first started my visits to when I got my last report that they had started spending their money, which was good. So really the benefit of all of this is that we're able to offer higher buyback prices to students, and of course that's what they want. It gives the students the information that they need when they're making the decision on their courses, because that information needs to be in our class schedule when they start registering. So the students are making a very educated decision on what courses they're going to take. It greatly increases the rental titles we're able to offer, because by having that information early, I can work it and I can determine my rentals and submit it through my wholesalers and get my want list back, and then offer I mean, our goal is to offer as many rentals as possible, and if I don't have the information, I can't do that, so this has been great for that. And it also, as you guys know, it allows us time to rework those orders. If we don't have the adoptions, I can't find used books, and otherwise they're going wholesale, and then I have to purchase them from the wholesaler at a later point, so it really gives us an opportunity to rework those titles a lot more. And our goal here at Titan Shops is always to provide students value and options, and we really tout that to the students. We have a How Much Have You Saved program that I started when I first started here 4 years ago, and we have this huge banner we hang up in the store near the register area on the textbook sales floor, and we break down our different programs and we show them over the last academic year how much we believe that they've saved utilizing those programs. And these numbers couldn't be what they are if we don't have the information from faculty. So as you can see, the different breakdown, those used books are based on the used book sales and the savings over new books. Buyback is actual cash paid out to the students in their hand. The rental program is based on our rental sales versus what the student would have paid for a new book. The digital program is similar to the used and rental. It's what they paid for the digital versus paying for a new book. And our low price guarantee is another cash in their hand. It's actual money paid out to the students. So we like to utilize this not just for the students, but to share it with our faculty and any other groups on campus to let them know that, you know, we're here for the students. Our goal is to save the students as much money as possible, and these are the ways that we do it. And when you can put numbers to it like that, and we update this every year, and then we do individual banners in the store about each program with additional information on it, I think it really adds value, and it shows the students that we are working for them and trying to save them money in any way possible. And that is it for me.
All right, thank you, Kim. And thank you, Cindy. As I mentioned earlier, the contact information for each of the presenters is listed here, the email and phone number. And that concludes our webinar here for Battle for Books. So I will hang out for just a little bit longer if anyone needs anything, and I hope you guys enjoyed.